Now my honor to recognize the gentlewoman from California, the chair of the full committee, for 5 minutes of questions. Madam Chair, you're recognized.
Thank you so very much. And I certainly appreciate this hearing. This is very important. Millions of Americans still use cash as primary method of payment, including disproportionately communities of color, unhoused persons, the underbanked and unbanked, elderly persons, and immigrants without documentation, among others. Many businesses, such as tech companies, restaurants, and stores, are moving towards going cashless. In some communities, such as communities with low income or migrant populations, many stores are cash only. Do you see the potential for economic segregation here, where some consumers are economically shut out of making purchases in certain communities, possibly even where they live or work? Now, let me just segue a bit and say something. Um, I am very much in support of innovation and looking toward the future and how we can expedite, how we can use the electronic opportunities that are available to us. However, let's talk about what's happening in the real world. Now, I just referred to the underbanked and the unbanked. Let me tell you about the millions of people who work every day in different ways, some of whom are still cashing checks, at these check cashing places that cost them money, but they don't have banking accounts. They are underbanked. They're not banked at all. But in addition to that, do you know that there is an underground economy where we have so-called handymen? I'd like to think of as handymen and handy women who are taking care of communities all across this country. They're doing odd jobs, they're painting, they're taking care of lawns, et cetera, et cetera. And they want cash. They want to be paid in cash. And I and a lot of other people do that. We pay them in cash. These are people who are taking care of their families. These are people who have children. These are people who depend on the cash that they make on a daily basis in order to have a decent quality of life. Now, I do not want to be in a position where we all move so heavily against, cash as a form of payment. As a matter of fact, of course, I have credit cards, and of course, I use the database systems in order to pay bills, et cetera, et cetera. But I still resent people who can't get a hotel room if they don't have a credit card, and hotels don't take cash. So, having said that, Mr. Brea, what do you say about those people that I'm referring to that are unbanked or underbanked, and how cash systems are the only thing they know and the only thing they use? Are we to forget about them?
Chairman Waters, no, not at all. And I couldn't agree more with your statements. The need for cash to be a viable payment method for consumers is one that remains with us and will continue to remain with us for many years. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, more and more establishments are choosing to only accept digital payments. That has real costs in terms of access to the marketplace for low-income consumers who often come from marginalized communities. And it has real costs in terms of greater surveillance. When you pay with a digital payment, you necessarily have to give your data to the bank, maybe two banks, the merchant, maybe even a payment processor. And that data is shared with advertisers, data brokers, and others who build often discriminatory profiles on millions of consumers. Cash is an anonymous way for millions of consumers to pay, and I think that they should continue to have that right.
Well, thank you so very much. And I'm going to yield back so that you can move on. I know you have other members who have a lot of questions. Thank you very much. And I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentle lady yields. The chair now recognizes the ranking member, Mr. Emmer, for 5 minutes